Hi, my name is Roland Korshidianzada. Welcome to another episode of On the Rise. With me again is Steph Rance.
Hey guys.
And we have a new person here for the first time.
Daniel
Daniel.
Douglas.
All right, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, Roland.
So I'm going to ask you the same thing I ask everyone who comes on for the first time. Why don't you tell us a little about yourself?
I study this and that. I usually try to keep my, how do I say it? I try to remain open to new ideas. I try to study as many topics as I can, and then the more I learn, I realize that I don't really know anything in this world. So I guess I'm just a scholar going through the world.
So you're like Socrates.
I don't think so. I wouldn't compare myself to Socrates, but I try to learn as much as I can, possibly like him, like one of his traits.
Okay.
That's a good answer. Way better than mine.
All right, today's topic is mental health, but we might actually work films into that because some filmmakers are pretty crazy.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would know because I'm also a filmmaker.
You don't have any. You don't have. You're not that. I mean, you're not like the guy from Saw, you know, who literally must be. Something has to be wrong. So you've seen Saw, right?
I've seen Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I haven't seen any of the Saw films.
None of them.
None of them.
You neither.
I saw Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well, but I haven't seen any
the
of the
old
Saw
one or the new
films.
one?
I saw the one that came out in 03 or 04, something like
Yeah,
that.
Jessica Alba was in it.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
New one.
Yep, the new one.
Old one was pretty good too. Messed up. You gotta be kind of messed up to make those kind of movies. I think a little bit.
Well, you have to imagine, are they based on nightmares? Are they based on news stories? Are they based on things that people experienced but exaggerated?
I like the nightmare horror stories that are based on like true events. But
Like a Fire in the Sky where these people were abducted?
I want
well,
to see that.
well, no. We'll put it like this. Even though, like in recent news, down in I think it was like either South Carolina or North Carolina, a girl was chained up and found in a cage within the past couple weeks.
Wow.
You know what I'm talking about? Like, and her boyfriend was killed on the property. Does anyone know what I'm talking about in this news?
No, this happened recently.
This happened recently, like in the past month. Like she was actually like discovered that she was missing for I don't know if it was like 3 months to 6 months. Her and her
That's
boyfriend were
insane.
missing. And she was found caged up on this guy's property. It just happened right now. Like if you look, he's just arrested as a potential serial killer. But I think that if they were going to make a movie about her experience, that would be like a better movie than, you know, just like a whole bunch of like made up stuff. What can we do to try to like get the rise out of the audience?
Well, we don't always know if that stuff is made up because often reality is stranger than fiction.
This is true.
But for the benefit of the audience, we're recording this as of middle of November 2016, so recently might not be that recently when you're watching this at a later point.
I think
That is
movies that are
true.
based on real life are 20 times creepier. Like what was it called? Deep like the one where the scuba divers dive and then the boat forgets them.
Yeah.
Then they're eaten. Like that was based off a true story, and that's what made it 20 times more creepier than any other film. You know what I mean?
You know, it was an insane film even though it's not a horror. Piranha 3D.
I never saw that. Was it good?
Yeah, I mean, if you like an escapist film where people get eaten alive by the millions, I recommend the film.
Fair enough.
You guys ever seen a what's the scariest movie you've ever seen in your life?
Me personally, it's a film starring Val Kilmer where they're in a sauna. Came out in '09, and the people are locked in and they slowly boil alive.
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
I actually don't watch a lot of horror films, so it's difficult. Like if I think now, like if I saw a horror film when I was younger, when I was a kid, and then I watch that same film now, it doesn't have the same effect.
Yeah.
And it was sort of like my cousin came over. She lives down in like Florida area, and she came up, and she was watching like retro television. She stayed the weekend, and one of the movies came up that she watched when she was a kid, and it was like a reminiscence of her being over like my family's house watching this because she's much older than I was, and yeah, she was talking about this film, and she was saying how like it used to scare her so much when she was younger, but then as she sees it now, it's like no big deal, just because of the different camera angles and stuff. But I mean, like, Hitchcock did like a whole bunch of stuff like that. He was good.
Yeah.
But as far as scary movies, I haven't seen a lot.
People thought Psycho was scary, but to be honest, I mean, I watched that
Was that
in
American
2000,
Psycho?
and no, just plain Psycho. And to me, it wasn't scary,
Mm.
but I guess to audiences 55 years ago, it was.
Yeah. But yeah, American Psycho was pretty good. That had me on the edge of my seat for a little while. But I don't know. Sometimes I think like even going back into like you're talking about mental health later, I think that sometimes like horror films like sort of if there's so much evil going on, like I guess in one's life you might not need a lot of horror films to escape from or something. Does that make sense?
It does.
Yeah.
What's the scariest movie you've seen?
Well, I can't remember the scariest one I've seen as an adult, but I remember as a kid, Child's Play.
Oh yes,
Chucky,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Because like the new Chucky's, it's like a joke, but the old ones, like the old school, when he's like underneath like the stairs or something, he's like slitting people's like
Achilles
calves and stuff like
tendon,
that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that's messed up. But a good mental health movie that really bugged me out, no pun intended, was called Bug. You ever seen it? This guy, one of these actors, I forgot his name, but he's like real. I don't want to say creepy looking, but he's like a little creepy looking. He acts like he's, a little bit like something's wrong. He makes friends with this girl at a hotel. She invites him in. Then he like is so paranoid, he starts like putting bubble wrap and tinfoil everywhere and he's so convinced that there are bugs and like parasites or something all over him that she starts picking it up and getting nuts too. So together they start like wrapping up the whole room and going crazy. And it's kind of like the suggestion kind of a thing. It's just really creepy.
Have either one of you ever made a tinfoil hat? Be honest.
No, the
Not
closest
yet.
I ever.
I have.
No.
I have. Like I didn't do it like out of I didn't wear it all around all the time. I did it to like prove a point.
When you need it to, right?
What was
Yeah.
your point that you needed to prove?
Like I just wore it around my house, and I just
Okay.
like showed my family that like this is where we're going now. Cause
Like your thoughts are yours.
well,
nothing else
it
can
was like
happen.
I was telling them about the government, and they thought I was full of conspiracy theorists and stuff like that. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna put a tinfoil hat on, and we're just gonna we're just gonna go full throttle with this. But so
Oh wow! I recently
actually,
just wrote
yeah.
online the 10 Commandments for a good conspiracy theory. Let me see if I can look
Let's
that
hear
up.
it.
Fuck. Don't tell me I clicked on. There we go. And we're back. Okay, here are the 10 Commandments for a good conspiracy theory. You ready?
yes,
Ready.
Number 1: the longer of a shot it is, the more likely it is.
Solid.
Number 2: nothing is a coincidence. It's all connected. Number 3: everything means something.
preach it, preach.
Number 4: there's always a reason behind the reason.
I like that one. It's good. It's good.
Number 5: whatever you thought before, it's wrong. Number 6: there's always a smoking gun that no one saw. Number 7: the less people believe you, the more you're right. Number 8: however bad it might seem, it's probably even worse. Number 9: if you discover something, they probably didn't want you to find out. And then 10: people you're supposed to trust are in on it.
They're all in on it.
A bonus is, if you can tie it to 9/11, JFK, aliens, or Nostradamus, do it. And those are the 10 Commandments. What do you think?
That's good.
Yeah,
I like that. That's perfect.
all on point.
It's true.
Getting back to the film that I mentioned earlier with Val Kilmer, it's actually called A Steam Experiment.
A steam experiment.
The Steam Experiment.
I'll have to watch it.
People make a lot of films. You ever notice that? Like if you look up people's like IMDb or something like that, and you actually look at their resume of how many films they've been in.
Well, you know,
A
if it's
lot.
their line of work, they have to do a lot of them.
I guess that's true. I guess that is true. But yeah, there's like a lot of them. And then I've been finding out that a lot of times that there's an incomplete list to where the person won't actually put up everything that they've been in. Like for instance, I've been in a few movies, but I don't have an IMDb account. So
It depends upon the filmmaker whether or not they've
Yeah, it's not
actually
worth
gotten
it.
around to put it
But-
on yet. For example, What's in a Fortune, as of this recording, it's not yet on IMDb, but it will be soon.
What's in a Fortune?
Yeah, this is a film that I directed and produced.
Ah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah. Should be out this January.
I have an IMDb, but I can't get my picture on it. I have no idea how to get my picture on it.
I think you have to have an actual IMDb account yourself. I myself don't have an IMDb account, that's why I'm relying on other people to put in information.
You gotta go pro, man.
Yeah, costs
Yeah,
money.
It's like $30 a month.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess from what people have said, it's worth it.
I'm gonna
But
have to do it again.
I've just been doing the calculations on like how much money are these people making off $30 a month for everyone who's like
tons.
trying to sign up for it, and I don't know, mathematically wise, I don't think I can contribute my $30. It's like everyone wants to talk about what they do if they won the lottery, but trying to pay money to play is like not gonna happen. No one wants to buy a ticket.
Well, I'd never play the lottery to begin with because I think that's a great way to lose money.
Have you ever thought about what you do if you won?
Yeah, absolutely. I would devote that money towards paying off my bills and having enough money that I could live without having to work, depending upon how much I made.
I think it would be cheaper for me to get a new identity than to pay off my bills. So I think that's probably my avenue. I'd probably
Well,
be
maybe
like
you should try to
new
follow
social
that path.
security number, new driver's license, you know
Fake
what I
your
mean?
death.
And I'd probably at the end of the day I'd save a whole bunch of money. Then I could relocate wherever I wanted to.
So the idea is you have an upper class income and you live a middle class life. Then you don't have to worry about your next line of work because you just budget how much you're going to spend every year and account for inflation over the next 5 decades.
Damn.
I planned this out.
Yeah, it's like taking Hood Rich to a whole new level.
But anyway, with psychological thrillers, I find that the shock and awe that wears off and you get jaded. So I prefer something more psychological where it taps into fears that you have, anxieties, because you don't get jaded by that.
How about Predator?
I like Predator, but Predator doesn't really scare me. It's just a big shoot 'em up with Arnold.
Oh, it's awesome. It's not that scary, but it's awesome though.
I like Alien. One time I watched all 4 Alien movies in a row when I was 19, and then I had a nightmare afterwards that the alien was bursting out of my chest.
E.T. used to scare me so bad.
E.T.
It used to scare me in that scene when the closet scene where he's like blended in as one of like the stuffed
Okay, yeah.
animals and he screams. They used to freak me out.
E.T. go home.
He's creepy. I don't know why anyone liked that as a child. I don't think he's very friendly looking.
Confession time, I was never a big fan of E.T.
Good, because he was creepy.
I think I like saw it like once, but everyone would do all these ET quotes, and I would never get the reference because I didn't see ET enough to.
Like E.T. phone home.
Yeah, well, I mean, I understood that because like you're saying ET phone home.
Oh yeah, well,
You know, it's
you
like
know,
title of the movie, but like if someone was just like phone home, I'd be like, what? What do you mean phone home? And then they'd have to say the word ET phone home. Like, oh, ET phone home. I see what you're saying. But
Did anyone ever see the knockoff Mac and Me?
Yes. Yes. They used to scare me too when I was a kid. My mom always says that when I was a kid, I used to be like, put in Mac and Me, and she'd be like, okay, and I'd be like, I scared Mac and Me because I just, for some reason, I just want to self-torture myself, apparently.
Yeah.
I just want to watch it, be scared, watch it again.
I haven't seen that movie since I was a kid. I barely remember it.
That's it. Like, was it a scene where they're like out and it's like foggy in the spaceship and they come out and they're like, their knees are backwards and they're walking all messed up?
I actually do remember that now, yeah.
It freaks me out. How about how do you guys feel about movies about like diseases? Do those freak you out?
They're compelling depending upon how the disease spreads because you deal with the people who have to deal with these infections and people trying to contain the plague and trying to come up with different strategies, trying to outsmart the virus to find a cure. It's more like a mental game to me.
yeah, you talk more like someone who gets a disease and they show the family, you know, around this person who has a disease, or are you talking about like zombie outbreak to where
Oh,
everyone
no, I'm
gets
talking
the
about like
disease?
Contagion. You know, like that.
It spreads and stuff.
I think it's called Contagion. It's like, it's kind of old movie, but yeah, it's like a monkey bit a kid, and then the kid was spreading this disease, and they didn't know what it was coming from, and then they like put the whole town, they like shut it all down. They wanted to bomb it. It's a good movie, creepy, but it's good. But it wasn't like a zombie. It wasn't like 28 Days. Zombie movies, they don't really. I don't know. I'm kind of sick of zombie movies.
I like disaster movies like Twister.
Twister was good.
I saw a Hitchcock movie, and it had to do with no smoking, and James Woods was in it, and I was
Okay.
just like in shock at this like whole thing. And he went to a place, and they were like, we're gonna help you quit smoking. And he was basically like going and talking to the mafia. And the
Okay.
mafia was gonna help him quit smoking.
Really?
And he signed up through it, and it was like first penalty was this, second penalty was that, and then like third penalty was something else.
This had to be a comedy. This sounds like
No,
a comedy.
it was a dark comedy. It was like borderline
So
scary.
black comedy.
Well, like I forget exactly what the punishments were, but I think if like the wife, or it was basically if I was married to, obviously if her and I were married, and
Yeah.
you were the mafia guy, if you, excuse me, I smoke a lot.
We're gonna make you stop smoking
smoke a
now.
lot. All right, let me try that again. If her and I are married and you're the mafia guy, if I was smoking a cigarette, you would do something evil to her, and so that
Okay.
was basically what was happening. So they told them, and they did it very jokingly. They were like, "Hey, if this happens, then we're gonna go after your wife." And he thought that they were kidding by the way that the people put it up. He's like,
But
"Yeah,
wouldn't that-
and if you smoke, we're gonna cut off your wife's finger." And then like,
Wow.
yeah, and it was like this whole thing of like in one of them, his wife got kidnapped, and then she was put into like a cage and had electric shock therapy.
Okay.
And he had to watch his wife get electric shock therapy because the whole floor was electrocuted. So she's like jumping up and down almost like a piece of popcorn, popping while he's watching because he smoked a cigarette. And
Wow.
it was like he was in traffic waiting for a bridge to come down, and there was two like guys who were laughing next to him in a car. He's looking all around to see like if anyone's watching him, and all of a sudden he bends over and he's looking for like some gum, and he reaches into the glove compartment, pulls out some cigarettes because the cigarettes fall, and and he looks down and he sees them, and then he goes over and he takes a cigarette, and he's trying to bend over underneath like the window
Yeah.
view so no one can see him, and the car's just filling up with smoke, because that's what Hitchcock did. And then everyone was waiting for the bridge to come down, so he was stopped, and all of a sudden honking starts behind him, and the cars have disappeared in front of him because he wasn't driving like he was supposed to. And he looks in both lanes, and there's no cars in front of him because the person in the lane next to him, the two guys in the convertible are looking over at him like he just smoked, and then they like shook their head or whatever, and he had to try to like go home and save his wife, but his wife was then kidnapped and had all the electrodes done to her.
Wow.
And so like it was like, but
That's,
that type of
that's,
stuff is it's real, to where it's like there is no gore, there's no nothing, but then it's sort of like, like
It
hey,
could
he ca-
happen.
He
Like,
can't
it
smoke a
could.
cigarette, you know what I mean? And it's yeah, Hitchcock did a good job with that type of stuff. So I didn't appreciate him when I was younger, because I remember watching television when he came on. It was like time I was already supposed to be in bed, or it was like way over bed, because I think he used to come on after Nick at Night.
Yes, that goes
Yeah.
way back.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm
Alfred
talking about.
Hitchcock
I'm talking
presents.
like early 90s, yeah.
Yup.
Like, so he was on then, like 90, 91, 92, and so on. And I remember like when he would come up, and then like his face would like go into the his frame as he'd walk in, like in his belly, he'd fill up the frame of the shadow.
This might ruin it. This is the kind of movie that when you watch it, it just ruins your whole night. You know those kind of horror movies that they leave you with like the worst, most depressing vibe
Yeah.
ever? But one that I remember specifically was Cube,
Okay, yeah.
where they wake up in like a. Have you ever seen it? They wake up. A bunch of people wake up in this like weird cubed room, and they have to figure out all these puzzles to get to the next cubed room, and like there are like booby traps everywhere.
I feel like I've seen it, but for some reason I don't remember. I might have seen it a long time ago.
Yeah, it's really old. There's supposed to be a new one coming out, but it's just it's such a downer because at the end it's like it does like a zoom out and like the cube itself, because it's all like small cubes hooked up to the next one. It's like massive, and you're like, these people are never gonna get out, and it's like the most depressing, worst ending of any film ever. It's kind of like Stephen King.
Okay. I don't want to hear the ending of this film, because I think now that you described it, I didn't see that. I was thinking of something else.
Oh, yeah, this one's bad. It's just this, like they all end up dying. Just one of those horrors, just dead. There it is.
Anyone ever see the show Black Mirror?
Yes.
That is a twisted show.
The pig one, the mayor and the pig.
I haven't seen anything that you guys have mentioned so far. It's pretty cool. Like these are all new things I even need to look up, or
Black Mirror is a TV show that's made in the UK. They do a few episodes every year, and it takes place in the near future, and everyone has these VR devices, and the punishment is to put them in the worst possible scenario. And basically these humans, they are replicas, and these replicas exist inside teddy bears or other type of creatures, and they talk to these virtual versions of the people to find out these different murder mysteries, to find out what they actually did.
interesting.
What like one of the episodes, correct me if I'm wrong, he's like being elected for the governor, or he is governor, and then a girl gets kidnapped or almost killed, and the guys are like, if you don't do something bad to like an animal, then whatever, and he's like forced to do it. It's like it's like psychologically
Yep,
like
that's right.
really just it's that's a mind bender.
There was one with John Hamm, Don Draper on Mad Men,
Yeah.
and he was a child molester or a sexual predator.
This is like the weirdest conversation I've ever been in my life, just so you know. Like borderline
Yeah.
uncomfortable,
Good.
I am.
Good.
So no, this is good. This is good. Continue.
And the punishment that they
Because
gave
like,
him,
I can tell I'm moving
Yeah.
around more often just because I'm like, what the hell did I get myself into? But go ahead.
the punishment that they give him at the end is every human on Earth is blurred out, so he can never see another human face ever again.
Or
That's his punishment
is
for the rest
weird.
of his life.
That's weird.
Another guy, he commits a murder and it's Christmas time, and his punishment is he gets stuck in his house listening to the same Christmas song in loop for millions of years, and he can't destroy the radio because it recreates itself, and he can't go to another house.
Damn.
He's stuck there forever with the dead bodies. So basically, it's like a virtual version of hell.
It's real downers, like every episode. Real downers.
speaking of hell, I saw Little Nicky the other day.
Oh yeah.
The Adam Sandler movie. I haven't seen
That's
that
a
for a
good-
while, but yeah, that brought back memories from. What are you talking about? Hell.
That's a good.
Memories of hell, so you've actually been to
Yeah,
hell.
so, well, that has to do with like the mental health. I mean,
Got it.
it depends on. It actually depends on how you look at things, and how big the picture you want to see it, or how small you want to be, and then what your version of hell or heaven is, if they even exist. You know what I mean? If you even give those two things power.
Good answer.
My favorite
It's
part.
interesting.
And I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No.
So say just like my favorite part in every single movie is when the person's like, "This is what's happening," and everyone else is like, "You're crazy. No way." Like that's my favorite part because they sound insane, and everyone else like no one believes them until they start realizing they're right. I just love that part of every movie.
You know, it was a real twisted film, The Sixth Sense, because you never think that the main character is dead until the very end.
Yeah, that was-
I just spoiled a 20-year-old film.
No,
but so what? Bruce Willis.
They also did that with a new show that just came out on Fox, because like again, November 26th date now or whatever time with 2016. It has to do with the pitch, with the first female pitcher to make the major leagues. You like seen advertisements for this
Yeah.
or something on Fox? Her dad is dead, but they already showed it like in episode 1 or something like that. I forget. I don't know if I saw the season premiere, if I saw like the second episode, I don't know, but it was, I guess I saw a rerun. And yeah, like her father, she's like talking to him the whole time, to where it's like, and then all of a sudden, like it shows her father getting killed like years before she even went to semi-pro ball, because she like started pitching in the majors. So it shows like her dad dying on the ride home when she got drafted, like by the,
that's
but
sad.
she's still talking to him. And then it shows like the conversation that she would have. It like went back, and you know, it was almost like Fight Club, to where
Yeah,
you know,
they're just crazy.
yeah, he's just like handing them a drink, and then like, you know, his like buddy's reaching for it, and he's just dropping it,
Yeah.
like at the end. But yeah, so that was like exactly how it was going on.
Have either of you guys ever seen Escape from Alcatraz?
Yeah, I have.
You know, it had me
Oh,
on edge.
I saw a movie you haven't seen.
Can you refresh my memory? Talk a little bit about it.
Is it Escape from Alcatraz or is it Escape from LA?
Escape from Alcatraz. But there's
LA
also
with
Escape
Kurt
from
Russell.
LA, but that's unrelated.
Escape
Escape
from-
from Alcatraz stars Clint Eastwood.
No,
and he's
I haven't
sent to
seen.
Alcatraz.
No, I haven't seen.
And it
that
shows
movie. I thought.
him and 2 other guys, they escaped from the prison
Yeah, no.
shortly before it closed.
Oh, no, you
and
see
you're
it.
on edge because you don't know how they're going to escape, even though you know they do, and you keep hoping that they won't get caught. You're totally on their side.
Wait, I might have saw it. Did they sneak out through the plumbing or something?
They
Or-
didn't sneak out through the plumbing. They actually got up to the ceiling, and then they went down, and then they swam across the lake.
I thought I might have saw that years ago though, but I wouldn't be able to comment on it right now. I thought you said Escape from L.A. or like when you said Escape from Alcatraz, I was like,
Russell,
oh,
Escape from
Alcatraz,
New York.
California. I'm like, oh, Los Angeles is in California.
Escape
Yeah.
from LA is fun, but it doesn't have me on edge. Escape
Yeah, it
from
doesn't.
Alcatraz will have you on edge, especially when they're escaping from the prison. I like Escape from New York better than Escape from LA.
Yeah, I thought so better. Like I thought so too on that. Yeah, L.A. was kind of weird.
Even though I'm not gonna lie, LA has the much better soundtrack.
Yeah, but when he made that basketball shot,
Yeah.
I was like, come on, we really watching this? Because he threw it from all the way back. Because he had 10 seconds to do a layup and stuff, like make a shot or something. You know
Well,
what I'm talking about?
basketball was big in the 90s.
No,
and yes,
no,
I do remember that.
But he did that long throw all the way across the
Yeah.
court, and then he got to live because he made it in.
Yeah.
They were gonna like shoot him if he didn't. And everyone liked the winner, and I was kind of like, really?
I'm gonna switch franchises
So-
now. Alien Resurrection, which came out around the same time. Ripley, she's playing basketball, clone Ripley, and then she throws the basketball into the hoop while walking backwards. She actually really shot it in there, and it was accidental, and they got that and wanted to like, we're not reshooting that. That's perfect.
Have you guys seen It Follows? I don't know, this is a little bit-
Follows.
It Follows.
Haven't seen that.
It's new, and it's the weird. It's like based back in, I want to say like the 80s or 70s, and all it is these people, they do the thing, and they give this like curse to one person, and then this naked like person follows them really slowly
Okay.
everywhere they go, and they're running from this like slowly walking naked person that nobody else can see, but it's like a supernatural entity that like the second it gets near them, it'll kill them. So it's like they're freaking out and running from this really slow walking naked person everywhere. It's really weird.
So is it like they're afraid of the naked truth because this is a naked person they want to avoid?
That's what I'm thinking. And then they end up having to like pass the curse to somebody else. So they have to like sleep with somebody else so that they stop getting followed by this like weird, paranormal entity thing. It's really it's like a different. Think about it. Somebody naked slowly following you.
Yeah.
Would you not be freaked out? I'd be freaked out.
I'd be
about
freaked out. I'd be
Put
weirded
some clothes
out.
on. You know what I mean?
Yeah, even still, but be
Well,
slightly less weirded out.
Female or male?
Good question. Good question.
No, I mean like, if it was a male, yeah, I'd fucking run from like, what the fuck's going
It
on?
was
I'd
a
call the
female.
cops or some shit.
So I know
but-
that you'd be willing to embrace that, but
Embrace death? Is that what you're saying? Because death's coming. So like that's what happens with like when she gets closer.
Yeah, death
Yeah,
is
she
right
kills
there.
her.
Interesting. I don't know how long I'd live for. That's a good question.
Because you can't sleep, you can't take a break. I mean, it's a slow walker, but you know.
When you were saying that, I was trying to figure out, all right, if she walks how many feet per hour, like how fast would I need to drive away in a straight line in order to get an 8-hour sleep? You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
so it would probably be like, oh, you need to drive for 6 hours at like 70 miles per hour. And then when you get there, like that obviously, she wouldn't be able to walk in a day there. But
Hey, she
Yeah,
could
no.
always hitch a ride.
she could. She could, so I wouldn't know.